mental health challenge. These are some symptoms that people with challenges may exhibit at the workplace.
Okay, still Money Flight on 90.5 FM, and in commemoration of World Mental Health Day, we have as guests in the studio Dr. Emmanuel Abayomi, consultant psychiatrist, Neuropsychiatric Hospital, Aruabeokuta, and Mr. Nelson Adeolu Savage, Secretary, Association of Sea Dogs, Abeokuta chapter. Now, doctor, you've talked about so many things. You talked about common signs of,
Yes.
mental health. In your own opinion, main causes of mental health problems, what could lead to someone having mental problems?
Yes, thank you. The latest scientific researches, we do not know a single cause of mental health challenges in the workplace. However, there are many factors that, when they add up and interact in complex ways, may increase the chance of coming down with a mental health challenge. I'll give you a good example. People who get a job, who get employed, may come down with mental health challenges
How?
from just getting a job, the pressures of work.
Okay.
Just a few weeks ago, someone reached out to me that is more demanding. She's the only female in the team of guys, and she's new. She's the newest staff there. Before she knew, they fired a guy she thought was as the star man. She became anxious. I am next. Then she began to have panic attacks. So getting a job that is really very demanding, you're not well suited for, can lead to mental health problems. At the same time, the unemployed can also come down with mental health problems. Someone who's just been fired, or someone who's here to get a job after graduating from school, work 2 3 years, work 2 3 years post, but here to get a job. They feel depressed. They tell themselves they are worthless, they are useless. So getting a job can increase one's chances of coming down with a mental illness just as not getting a job. And this takes us to some underlying factors. We call them predisposing factors. For some people, there is a positive family history of mental illness in the family. Perhaps a father, a mother, an uncle, or even somewhere had a mental health challenge. So these people are more likely, they are more vulnerable to coming down with mental health challenges. If the stress becomes overwhelming for them, they will not be able to cope because of some genetic predisposition. Unlike some other person who has no such history. All right. Now, at the time of birth, also, some people who had complications of birth, maybe they were either too small, or at the time of birth they didn't cry all the time, or the mother was really very ill at the time of birth. At the time of birth, the brain may have been subtly alive. When such challenges hit, it may come down with mental health challenges. Now, more specifically in the workplace, research has shown that toxic, unfriendly, hostile work environments contribute to mental health breakdown. Let me bring it closer home. If you have a boss at work who is always angry, always screaming, always shouting at you, never commends you for the little successes, little achievements you have, is only out after your mistakes, it, it increases people's chances of coming down with it. Before you know it, they have low concept of themselves. There's nothing I can do right. At work, always putting me down, no matter what I do. I am not perfect. The person considers himself a failure. So toxic work environment, toxic work. Then colleagues at work who do not make the work environment compassionate, friendly, and conducive for work. Unhealthy rivalry and competition may predispose some people to coming down with mental health challenges in the workplace. Then work schedules that are unrealistic and not friendly. Asking people to work, for example, for 48 hours at a stretch without time off or break can take a huge toll on their mental health. Then work role skill imbalance. You're put in a role you do not have the sufficient training and skills for. Can make your can make you make mistakes, and then this questions your sense of efficacy, your sense of competence. Can also increase one's likelihood of coming down. Delayed salaries, insufficient salaries can contribute significantly. That's remuneration. When remuneration is not at par. There's a joke that your take home pay does not take you home. When your take home
It
pay does
doesn't
not
take
take
you
you
home at
home,
all.
it doesn't bring you to home, doesn't take you home. You are
Exactly.
stuck in a state of
Exactly.
flux. It can contribute significantly to one's mental health challenges. Retrenchment, downsizing, job loss, lack of promotion, career progress, nepotism, favoritism,
Or,
discrimination at the
or
workplace.
meeting up with a target.
Not meeting up with
I
unrealistic targets.
understand. I can relate.
Also, we also have as guest Mr. Savage, who is the secretary of the National Association of Sea Dogs, Abeokuta branch. To you, why did your association decide to celebrate this World Mental Health Day?
Thank you very much. We actually had this program last year too, and we do this frequently to sensitize people, particularly looking at what the country is passing through. It is quite important that we get to share this kind of program with people to get them aware of what's going on in the workplace and how it affects their mental health, just to keep people abreast of the situation of the country. So we do this regularly, annually, yearly.
Okay, now, is the association, National Association of Sea Dogs, an NGO? How will you describe your association?
Yes, National Association of Stewards is a humanitarian organization. We are known for charitable deeds. We speak for the less privileged in the society. And where you find a needing hand, that's where you find a seed of. Thank you.
Okay, so Mr. Salvate, what
Yes.
is the relationship between your association and the neuropsychiatric hospital? Do you have that uh, good working relationship?
Yes,
Or
we have.
what really prompted you
All right,
to
ma.
key into this program?
Okay, ma. So, on our calendar, we have a calendar in our organization
Okay.
of programs of projects that we do yearly, and we work in line with the Sustainable Development Goals, which on 2030.
Yeah.
And so, part of this Sustainable Development Goal is a branch of this program, the World Mental Health Day, is being celebrated by United Nations too. So we try to key into this project. So in doing this, I think some Sundays ago, I listened to him on the program where he anchored the elders board, and they talked about how the mental health of elderly are being affected. So I picked his contact from there, and I tried to have discussion with him and then bring it down there to have this discussion with us.
Okay, let's open the lines. I believe people have something to talk about. Our listeners out there, they have something to talk about. They have questions to ask. Let's open the line 0803 437 9453, 0815 0320226. Hello.
Hello, Tinokwe.
Good morning, ma'am.
Happy Mental Day.
Same here.
The neighbors from Komi and Doctor. And it is wonderfully well. They do webinar every Thursday that you just regularly join. So just enjoying new psychiatrical hospital to have that kind of stuff. But what I want to ask is that what can cause what they call a deceiving. I don't know how to call it in English because a neighbor of mine gave birth and immediately she ended up with a mental that she had to be taken to Yaba. In fact, it's very really suffered, the whole that kind of stuff. Does that mean that there's something she didn't do while she was pregnant? So that's my question.
All right, thank you, Mrs. Ojeladi.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Mrs. Ojela. I'm sure I'll take that to my management. Yes, what Yorubas call abisiri describes in English a group of mental health conditions that women suffer from around the time of childbirth, whether a few days after childbirth or even now it's been extended to as much as 1 year after childbirth. What exactly causes these? Science is yet to put a finger to an exact cause. For malaria, for example, you can say to bites when some parasites, Plasmodium falciparum precisely, is found in your blood, you come down with malaria. But for such mental health conditions, and all mental health conditions really, science can't yet put a finger on one particular cause. So many factors contribute to this, and one of them is what we call family history. Yes, it can be quite challenging, quite traumatic for family members, even the newborn baby, and even the mother herself. All right. So, family history if in the family there's history of someone who's had a mental illness or the other, of childbirth may make them come down with what we call psychosis around the period, around time of childbirth, mental periods around time of childbirth, what they call episode. For some other people, it's really very stressful, traumatic childbirth. For some others, it is lack of social support. There is no mother-in-law, there is no mother, perhaps mother is late, mother-in-law is late, and then she gives birth, no friends, nobody around, no support. Some financial challenges may also account for that. They may contribute to that. The time of pregnancy, there was poor nutrition for the mother, husband lost his job, all of these can add up. Right, I remember a story in particular. The husband was doing well, and while the woman got pregnant, the man lost his job. A lot of thoughts were running through the woman's mind. For danger of bad luck, sign of bad
Mm.
omen. Why would my husband lose his job? Just and things were really going on very well with them before she got pregnant. Then around time of childbirth, things were really very tough. So after childbirth, she was overwhelmed with thoughts of how to care for the children, and then she slipped into depressive disorder. A depressive disorder. For no others, they hear voices of people they can't see. It's really very bad. Some even go as far as wanting to harm their babies. Some even go ahead to kill their babies without their intention to do that. So the exact cause we really are not sure, but many factors contribute.
Okay, so
So
let's pick another one.
I don't put money into that. Put money Manuel.
Good
Good
morning,
morning,
sir.
sir.
I want to say good morning to the Daniel and the
Good morning, sir.
um, I wish call it PTSD. Someone someone asked about National Association of Civilians. The question many of us have is that people what we need to have as a fight like complex that's PTSD. I would have the impression that because right organization, etc. When we associate it with the position in camp, one about that's not that but we have the impression that the freedom fighter or something. But many people have organized culture of concern that you that you example good organization to other places like this organization or like and guys over there can
Okay. Question is directed at Mr.
Salvage.
Salvage. So, would you love to talk about
Yes.
PTSD?
PTSD, very quickly, I'll say four things about PTSD, and that'll be all. The first is that it's a mental health disorder that results from a traumatic event. PTSD is actually called stress disorder. Post traumatic, that means that there must have been some traumatic directly. Say, for example, a hurricane or a earthquake, something very, very life witnessed that, or a fatal accident. That's one. And then, not long afterwards, months, weeks after, the individual now begins to have symptoms in three categories. The first category of symptom is they begin to avoid anything that reminds them of that incident. Say someone was involved in road traffic accident on the expressway. That's the traumatic incident. And they don't want to get into the car anymore. They don't want to drive anymore. They don't want to get on the express anymore. They avoid anything that reminds them. They see a car, they are reminded of that. That's the first category. Second category of symptom is what we call re-experiencing or flashbacks. Yes, thank you. Re-experiencing and flashbacks. So whether at night they begin to have very vivid dreams of the incident that
Like a
happened.
phobia.
Like a
Kind of.
phobia, yes. Yes, they have they have intrusive thought, they are awake, they have flashbacks, and they begin to panic and they begin to fright. We call that intrusive thoughts or flashback. And then third, we have what we call a heightened hyper arousal state. They are constantly on the edge. They're constantly on the edge, always super alert, vigilant. They just can't leave. They remain stuck. Here's this. What what I've just described, enjoy life. Their jobs are on the top. They are constantly scared. They have phobia.
Mm.
And the final thing I'm saying is life doesn't have to continue this way for them. There is help. They can get better. In my practice, in our practice, will help to numerous number of new this way for them. There is help. They can get better. In my practice, in our practice, will help to numerous number of people who were get on the road. And after treatment, they're driving on doing very well. I remember a girl in particular who sustained almost near blindness on her eye. And because of that, she couldn't do anything. She dark shades on her eyes everywhere she went to. But after treatment, she takes off her glasses, the scar on her eye, she goes and she does well with it right now. So there is hope for anyone who is suffering from PTSD. They need not continue silence. These are my final thoughts.
Okay, so would you like to tell us, is there
It was founded in 1952 by Professor Wole Soyinka and his friends. And the idea of founding, of creating the Pirate Confraternity back then was just to say no to the colonial way of doing things, which was more laborious in the university then, because there was a kind of nepotism, tribalism. Was going then. You see children of the affluence dress in a particular kind of way. They were expected to conform to a particular lifestyle. Do you understand? So there was segregation then in the universities. Do you understand? So this is why people of it came together and say no. We don't have to discriminate against people. We don't have to be tribalistic in our dealings. Do you understand? So that was the idea that bettered the organization 1952. So for me, our organization is a humanitarian organization. It is a charitable organization. What do? We speak for people that don't have voice in the society. Where there is need, that's where you find the pirates. If you are in an environment, if there is a drainage problem, I can bet you before you count one or two people, you must find it there. So we always say where there is a need in the society, that's where a pirate should be found.
okay, so let's pick this. Hello. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning. Good morning, Titi.
Good morning, comrade.
Thank you very much. Good morning, guests.
Good morning, sir.
Morning to you. Now, there is a question on mental health, which I feel the organization needs to address. My organization please advocate mental evaluation of those who are ruling Nigeria. Yes, evaluation is necessary because that people, where you have a country that the leaders are disconnected from the people, the leaders are not thinking positively about the people, the leaders are not doing things that will really benefit the people. Such leaders need mental evaluation. And NAS is an organization, is solidly human. It is an organization that advocates everything good about humanity. That aspect of mental health is necessary, please. I don't know what you have to say about this. And I'm happy to say this. When you get to Tortuga, give my regards to the CB.
Good morning, sir.
Thank you for the contribution, sir.
Good morning, sir. Let me address your question in two ways. The first one is it's a brilliant idea, a brilliant suggestion that we should do mental evaluation for those in power. My only fear is that who pays for this mental evaluation? I'm afraid they will tax you and increase the prices of goods and services to be able to afford that. And I'm not sure you would want that, comrade. So for the mental evaluation of the politicians, maybe we should increase the price of fuel further to 2,000 naira. Would you want us to do that? All right. Yeah. On a more serious note, I think it amounts to abuse of psychiatry, abuse of mental health to want to advocate for mental health evaluation of those in power and political leadership. Because that you have a mental health challenge does not reduce your humanity, does not reduce the things you value, does not reduce your virtues. As a matter of fact, we have people who have mental health excellent leaders. A good example is Prime Minister Winston Churchill, who had what we call bipolar affective disorder. Yet he remains about the most outstanding British Prime Minister in history. Yet he had mental health struggles. So if Winston Churchill, with his mental health struggles, was such an awesome, phenomenal leader, perhaps we should be advocating that people who have mental health challenges should be voted into power in Nigeria. If perhaps goods, because the supposed normal people have brought us to where we are today. Maybe it is those who have mental health that should be in power. Now, more specifically, it is important to separate systemic dysfunction, corruption, poor values, lack of compassion for human beings, lack of integrity, lack of servant leadership, man failures, greed, incompetence from real mental health issues. That people are in power and disconnect from the people, the populace who voted them into power has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with mental health challenge. So we should call a spade and mix up issues. All
Hello.
right. Thank you.
Hello, good morning.
Hello.
Good morning,
Good
sir.
morning.
Good
Good morning,
morning.
sir.
Yeah, my name is Akin Bidoni. I'm calling from Camp Abeokuta.
All right, thank you
Yes,
for
I've
calling.
been listening to you with sharp attention. But I want to ask a question. Can't mental health be self-inflicted? For instance, somebody who's supposed to go to work and doesn't go to work, or who gets to a place of work and does not inflicted.
Perhaps an artist that would be, why would someone not want to go to work in the first place? Why would someone not want to go to work if the workplace is bills? Is it possible that there is an underlying illness that stops him from going to work, rather than he's not going to work causing a mental illness for himself? I'll give you a good example. Some people who have a job just sit back at home. You know why? They are hearing voices. There's a mental illness on the background, voices telling them, don't go to work. If you go to work, they'll kill you. They'll kill you. So they stay back. It is their mental illness that is responsible for their not going to work. So bring them for treatment. Let's take care of their mental health challenges, and then they would want to go to work. And rather than say it's self-inflicted and after offer, I would perhaps want to say it's the context that contributes to it. For example, you have a son, you sponsor his education, primary school, secondary school, university. He's back from university, you sponsor his master's to a private university. He's back and you say, go get a job. The man is 25, 26, he's never worked a single day, and he wears some of the best clothes in town. He drives really very big cars. He will not do any work because already maintaining a lifestyle that his salary cannot sustain him. So if you say it is self-inflicted, I won't say exactly so. I would say perhaps it is parents inflicted. Such people should get down to work, live within their means, and get a job. I'm
Now,
sorry
now,
that comes across
now,
as
Dr.
hard.
Abayomi, I want to ask something that is so charming. Let's take a look at trauma.
Yes,
Trauma, it's in different forms.
yes.
We have emotional trauma, we have physical trauma, we have psychological trauma. So trauma,
Absolutely. Trauma has been identified as one of the contributors, whether as a predisposing factor if it happens early in childhood, or as a precipitating factor to mental health challenges. And let me just put all of together very quickly. Research has shown that when people experience trauma, whether early in life, during childhood, or even later, one or two or four mental health, four broad families of mental health conditions. One is flight. Because of the traumas of the past, they are in a state of flight. They are always running away. They are always on the edge, running, flight. That leads to the anxiety disorders, panic disorders, develop anxiety disorders because of trauma. The second group of disorders they may suffer from is what we call the freeze disorders, the fight, the flight, or the freeze. The freeze, they just remain stuck in one place. They come down with depressive disorders in that regard. They come down with what we call conversion disorders. They just freeze. They with disorders. I met a woman some weeks ago who trauma. She's done all the checks, brain scans, MRI. Nothing was found because of trauma. She was to freeze. You call disorder. And it's fight, flight, freeze, fight. As a result of trauma, someone has witnessed trauma in the past. Now they're in a state of fight. You see them hungry, irritable, always resentful, vengeful, in a state of constant fight. They are now with such disorders as the schizophrenia, psychotic disorders, or even the bipolar disorders, or they may even begin to use drugs. Otherwise, intent people, you see them just begin to flock in their places of work. You find a star staff doing very well, and as a result of trauma from work or somewhere, you just begin to flop. And I'll give you a not too palatable example. A young lady was doing very well in school, for example, and then gets sexually abused or molested. She becomes withdrawn. No longer wants to associate with anyone. She sees men and she begins to fight them. She begins to fight everyone. Because of trauma. Doesn't want to get into any romantic
She
relationship.
built a fence around her.
She built a fence around her. Significantly to mental health challenges.
Now, Dr. Abayode, how do we differentiate between depression and anxiety?
Thank you, sir. Great question. As a matter of fact, depression and anxiety in the past used to be considered as two sides of a coin. So the difference between them is not really much. A lot of times people have anxiety disorders, anxiety, depressive disorders. So the difference are not exactly clear cut. Of our listeners, anxiety disorders are marked by a sense of fear of something in the future. What if this goes wrong? What if I lose my job? What if I die? What if I have an accident? It's always about thoughts and worries of the future. So there's a state of panic. Their hands are shaking. Their heart is beating really very fast. Constant dread. They have sweaty palms. Tremors, shaking. What you call ijaya, fear of something horrible about to happen. They are restless, ara ubale, as they say in Yoruba. That's what marks anxiety disorders. The depressive disorders are our reaction to a sense someone loses a loved one and then they feel down. Remember, anxiety disorders, there's a sense of threat. You're about to run. Depressive disorders is a sense of loss. They've lost something, so they become withdrawn. They become sad. They are weeping for no just reason. They begin to forget things. They have reduced energy, unable to do anything. They lose interest in the things that they would normally do. They are unable to sleep anymore. They're unable to eat. They begin to think about ending their lives, becoming suicidal. Their life seems over for them. They feel there's no help for them. And they think themselves as being worthless. These are the symptoms of depression.
Okay, so now, Doctor, we all know that Nigeria, as a nation, we are battling with so many things, most especially, in terms of the economy. We are battling with economic crisis. So, in your own capacity as a psychiatrist, can you prescribe can you prescribe any coping mechanisms for Nigerians just to manage this stress?
Yes, thank you. I would prescribe two categories of coping strategies.
Okay.
I'll call the first practical tips and strategies, and I'll call the second group of strategies psychological, what you can do in your mind. Perhaps we should start with the ones you can do in your mind,
Okay.
and then we go on to the practical tips and strategies. In your mind, one of the first things I would like you to understand is don't fight this in your head. As much as possible, come to a place of awareness that there is a problem. Things are not as they used to be. This happens in the head. It's a mind shift, it's an attitudinal change, a change in the way you see things. Things are not as they used to be. There are bills to be paid. I feel unsafe and unsure and uncertain about the future. I've lost my job. Become aware of it. The second is be open to the feelings of fear, the feelings of sadness, the feelings gently accommodate them in your head. Don't struggle, don't fight. Engage in the little things you can do. The prayer that summarizes all of this is the serenity prayer. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change. I'm sorry to break your heart. The present government is in power for the next 4 years. There is nothing you can do about it. Accept that reality. Please accept that reality. If in your head you're fighting it, it makes the problem worse. They're in power for the next 4 years. There's nothing you can do about it. Accept that reality. You've lost your job, that hurts, that's painful, I know. This reality is God grant me the ability to accept the things I cannot change. Not the things you cannot change and accept them. The second is the courage to change the things you can. There are a few things, actually a lot of things you can change. The economic situation, now you need courage on and change those things you can. And then to wisdom to know the different things you can change and the things you can change. Now the courage to change the things you can takes me practical you can do. Your salary is not enough. If you take placards and the streets tomorrow, your salary is not enough. If you take placards and get on the streets tomorrow, it will not make the government increase your salary. So there is no point getting on the street except you're a labor union. Do that to show your association, to make your association, to just the money you collect from association. But otherwise, the reality is it cannot increase. Even if your salary increases, inflation eats up everything you got. You can't change that. Now, what can you change? By the side, can you cut down your expense? I know things are tough, things are hard. Nevertheless, can you cut down on the soda you buy, bottled water you buy? Can you try cheaper alternatives? That's something practical you can do. Something practical you can do. Can you get a smaller car? Can you change from a 3 or 4 bedroom apartment to a
Can you move
smaller
your child
apartment?
from a private school to a public school?
Exactly. If
These
you
are some
take
of the
protein
things.
in your food every
Mm.
single day, can you do without it for things you can do? And then to reduce your expense. And now to increase your expense, are there other things you can do? Can you do some business by the side? Can you do some referrals by the side? These are additional things you can do to increase your income.
All right.
And finally, I'd like you to know that in this life, problem will be finished.
I like that.
That's
Problem
deep.
not dey finish.
That's deep.
No put problem for your head. Problem not dey finish.
Even the richest man in the world, Dangote, the economy, Ita, he
Mm.
came on live TV.
Why
the
petrol
bottle.
market?
I was marketing it on live TV.
I'm serious.
So you are going through difficult times. It's all part of living. And be grateful to God that you are alive.
In your face.
And before we close this morning,
This chapter is a better chapter. As we speak, we have Djibouti, we have in Lagos, so different branches of the organization. They are also having something like this going on. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah,
Yes, like I said.
All right, and also Mr. Nelson Adelu Savage, Secretary, National Association, for coming.
Thank you very much.
All right, this is the portion of Omolara Adeshola. We say thank you to our editors, Foriji and Kim Foriji and Akim Limon, Frank the manager. Many thanks to Samuel Adineye Lareva for your support, and thanks also to the sponsor, National Association of Sea Dogs, Abeokuta chapter. My name is Titilope Awobajo. Let's not do away with anything that can lead to stress. Stress is not good for our mental health.
I am Emmanuel Adebanjo. Have a very nice day.
Thank you.